Hey y'all, it's Dawn, and I'm so glad you're back. I've got another fun, budget-friendly DIY video for you today. Not lying, I have to say I simply love how this DIY turned out. I glued together 6 Dollar Tree pallets using Dollar Tree wood glue and hot glue. I used the wood glue for a permanent hold and the hot glue for an immediate hold. I cleaned up any of the glue that seeped out with a box knife and a paper towel. I wanted my surface to be as smooth and flat as possible. I stained the entire palette with a gel stain. I picked this jar of gel stain up a while back at Ollie's for $4. At $4, I figured I'd give it a try. I've never used gel stain before, but I have to say I love this stuff. It doesn't have the smelly smells that regular stain has, and it comes in a variety of colors. I made sure I got the stain between the cracks in the palette also. And as you can see, this is an extremely messy process. So I would suggest wearing gloves and also placing something under your piece before staining it so you don't get stain all over your work surface. Once the stain had dried, I cut down a couple of leather straps from a roll I had gotten from Amazon about a year ago. You'll find it in my Amazon store. I'm so glad I decided to go through my stash. I am finding all kinds of amazing things I had forgotten I had. And I'm making room for more stuff. I stapled the straps to the pallet and hot glued some silver thumbtacks to cover the staples. Next, I hot glued some of these square beads to the bottom. I decided to place the beads on each of the pallets so the tray wouldn't droop over time. And just look at how adorable. I just wish I wouldn't have gotten the glue on the top, but I can cover it up with Decor. And it's so sturdy and high-end looking. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I used an old black frame that I found in my stash. I painted it with white chalk paint first to cover up the dark color. I then painted it again with Folk Art Aqua acrylic paint. I had a piece of chicken wire in my stash. Using a staple gun, I attached the chicken wire to the back of the frame. The staples didn't want to go in all the way, so I used a hammer. I used a pair of wire cutters to trim off the excess chicken wire. I continued pulling and stapling until I had all the chicken wire attached to the frame. I went around the chicken wire and checked for any sharp edges and used a hammer to bang them into the frame so no one would get stuck by them. And of course, when I say no one, I mean me. I turned the frame over and began distressing the front with both white chalk paint and antiquing wax. I then used a baby wipe to lighten the distressing. I think the frame turned out perfect, and now I'll show you how I made the egg wreath for it. I painted these Dollar Tree mini eggs from my stash with folk art terracotta paint in the color Sea Stone. I love this color. It is so pretty. It's a light blue, and I absolutely love the texture of the terracotta paint. Sorry guys, it's storming here. Once the eggs were dry, I began placing them onto a piece of jewelry wire from my stash. I pushed the wire through the center of each egg. When I had all the eggs on the wire, I used a pair of wire cutters and cut the wire. I then placed the ends of the wire into the eggs on either side. I flicked some brown paint onto the eggs. And stapled some ribbon to the frame with the wreath. And just look at how adorable. I think it turned out so stinking cute. Today's video is part of the Try It Tuesday collab hosted by Sammy from Unicorn Dust Designs. All the DIYs in this video were inspired by the amazingly talented Jackie from Blessed Beyond Measure. If you haven't watched Jackie's DIYs, you are really missing out. She is amazing. She has had a hard time recently, and if you are a praying person, please pray for her and her family. You will find links to Sammy and Jackie's channels in the description, along with a link to this month's playlist. Now for another amazing DIY. I cut the twine off of 3 wooden crosses and hot glued them together. I wanted a thicker cross and was using only items from my stash. I've been trying to use mostly items from my stash since the first of the year and have told myself no more until most of this is gone. I have a craft room and a 12 by 12 storage building full of nothing but craft supplies. I have so much, it's like going shopping at home. The hole at the top needed to be larger, So I used my drill and the largest drill bit I had. I sanded the cross to smooth it out. Next, I painted the cross with chalk paint, making sure I got the sides also. I didn't like the way the sides looked, so I used some Dollar Tree spackling and filled the little cracks in. Once the spackling was dry, I used a piece of sandpaper wrapped around a dowel to smooth the sides out. This helped me get into the corners of the cross. I then used a finger sander around the front and back to smooth away any of the spackling. And then applied another layer of paint. I used these square beads from my stash and a piece of white cotton string. And I actually found this beading needle, which I'd forgotten about, in my stash. I used it to string the beads and the cross onto the string. This made stringing everything together so much easier. Once the garland was the length I wanted, I attached the cross with a simple knot. And created and attached a tassel at the other end. And just look at how sweet this farmhouse garland turned out. Please take a second to like this video and leave me a comment. This really helps my channel to grow so others just like yourself can find me. If you just found me, I hope you will join our little family by hitting the subscribe button. If you are already part of the family, thank you so much for your love and support. Y'all are the absolute best. Check out my new Amazon store for craft supply and farmhouse home decor recommendations. All the products I use from Amazon in my videos can be found there. Until next time, happy crafting!